Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got, well, a really unusual and honestly quite entertaining set of sources for you today.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're diving into some short, funny anecdotes from a collection called Usnjundetu. That's the collection of novel humor stories.
And you might think, okay, jokes, but we're doing way more than just reading jokes here. It's not about that.
Right.
Our mission, really, is to use these stories almost like surgical tools.
Yeah.
They're short, yeah, but they were just masterclasses in how narratives work.
Especially situational irony.
Exactly. Situational irony.
Yeah.
They show us how a context that seems totally stable, the corporate world, a crime scene, even a social disaster, can just be flipped, completely inverted by one unexpected bit of human information.
So we're kind of giving you a shortcut today, right? To understanding how surprise is built in a story.
Mm-hmm.
The tension builds up one way, you think you know the obvious ending, and then boom, the punchline just shifts the whole ground under your feet.
It's that aha moment, that reversal. It's satisfying, yeah, partly because it's funny, but also because the structure itself forces you to see some, well, often absurd truth about why people do what they do.
Yeah, and what gets me is how economical they are, like how few words they use to do this.
That's a great point. They set up these really rigid expectations. A CEO acts professionally, a slogan means something deep, getting fired is final, a robber wants money.
Right, standard stuff.
And then they just pull the rug out by revealing some personal, sometimes pretty crude desire or fact that totally undermines that whole formal structure. It's brilliant, really.
Okay, let's unpack this. A good place to start, I think, is where a lot of these narrative reversals happen. The chaotic corporate world. Misguided authority.
Yeah, classic.
We start with Marvin. He's the new CEO, and he's been brought in specifically to, shake things up.
Right, Marvin wants to make his mark.
Yeah.
Instantly. He sees himself as this corporate avenger, here to root out the slackers, the inefficiency.
So he's doing the tour of the company floor and spots this guy just leaning against a wall, apparently doing nothing.
For Marvin, this is perfect. Target acquired, an opportunity to show everyone who's boss.
It's pure performance, isn't it? He decides he's going to make a very loud, very public example, marches right over, doesn't bother asking anyone what the guy's doing there, just demands, and how much money do you make a week? Just leaning on that wall.
And the poor guy, probably scared stiff, right? The new CEO yelling at him. He just answers honestly. Says he makes $300 a week.
So Marvin thinks, right, time for the big power move.
Yeah.
Pulls $300 cash out of his wallet.
Literally cash.
Shoves it in the man's hand and just screams, here's a week's pay. Now get out and never come back. We don't pay people to lean on walls.
And he feels great about it. Thinks he's just laid down the law, established his new tough regime, his first firing. Feels good.
But he completely prioritized the show, the optics, didn't he? Over finding out what was actually happening.
He spent money.
Yeah.
Actual cash, $300, just to project this image being decisive.
Right.
But the real cost, that comes next.
Yeah, he turns to the room, probably beaming, looking for everyone to be impressed, and asks, does anyone want to tell me what that goof-off did here?
And bam, the reveal. Someone just says, flat out, he's the pizza delivery guy.
Oh, man. The whole power fantasy just evaporates. Poof.
It's such a perfect illustration, isn't it? Subverting that established norm.
Yeah.
Marvin assumed the guy leaning was, part of the company structure and slacking off.
Never occurred to him it could be someone from outside.
Nope. So he didn't fire a slacker employee. He basically paid a pizza guy $300 to leave faster.
The takeaway there seems pretty clear. Leaders who are just focused on signaling how tough they are,
Yeah.
they often skip the basic homework, right? And that makes them look ridiculous, vulnerable to the most basic, mundane irony.
Exactly. Which actually leads us nicely into the next one. Still corporate, but moving from misplaced authority to maybe misplaced perception. I mean, if a CEO can't tell his own employee from the pizza delivery guy,
Good point.
then what does that say about a company's ability to judge its own product? Which brings us to the beer slogan contest. Joke number 1 in the collection.
Yes, the beer slogan. This one's great because the whole humor relies on the committee being totally detached from reality.
Right. So new beer. They hold a contest for a slogan. Thousands of entries.
And the panel, you imagine them, right? All steeped in marketing speak, looking for something, I don't know, evocative, poetic.
They pick a winner, Love on a Lake.
Sounds nice, serene, romantic, easy to remember. The company president, he likes it too, but he's just cautious enough to pause things.
Yeah, before handing over the prize, he wants the winner to explain the deeper meaning, the connection.
He's digging for that marketing gold, isn't he? So
It's not poetry. It's pure, savage honesty that wins the prize.
the winner just says, well, love on a lake is thing close to water, and that's what this beer tasted like.
Ouch.
Just
That's incredible. The critique mechanism there is so clever.
Totally. It's passive-aggressive genius. He wrapped this brutal insult in language that sounded so nice.
That the marketing people heard it as high praise.
It just shows that huge gap, right? Between the corporate bubble, the marketing talk, and the actual customer reality, which was, this beer is terrible.
And the ultimate twist is they didn't just misjudge the slogan.
Yeah.
They actually gave a prize, paid money, to the person who delivered the most savage takedown of their own product.
Exactly. The stated goal, find a great slogan, completely submarined by the human reality. The beer sucked, and the winner found a clever way to tell them, without being, overtly offensive enough to filter out immediately.
Okay, so from corporate slip-ups, let's really crank up the stakes. Personal disaster territory now.
If human motives can mess up marketing, what happens when they just completely override supposedly irreversible professional consequences? Which brings us to the annual office Christmas party blowout, John and Louise.
This one. It starts by building maximum dread, doesn't it? John wakes up, pounding headache, dry mouth, classic morning after.
But the worst part is the memory gap. He knows he did something bad.
He asks his wife, Louise, how bad was it? And she just confirms his worst fears. Even worse.
And the story is very specific about the disaster. It lays it all out.
Oh, yeah. No ambiguity. John made a complete ass of himself, antagonized the board, and then the big one, insulted the chairman. To his face.
Called him an arrogant, self-important prick, piss on him.
And then
he actually did it, urinated, all over the chairman's suit.
Which, unsurprisingly, resulted in him getting fired. Immediately. On the spot. Non-negotiable.
I mean, professionally, it doesn't get much worse, does it? Public humiliation, literal defilement of the boss, career over, done.
The professional rules have been broken in the most extreme way possible. The consequence seems absolutely final. John knows it. He just murmurs resignedly, well, F him.
So this really makes you, the listener, think, right, what on earth could possibly undo that? A career-ending act involving, well, bodily fluids and a public firing by the chairman himself.
How can the story possibly fix this in just a couple of lines?
The solution comes from completely outside the corporate rulebook. It's Louise's response.
Yeah, her calm, almost scornful reply. It's the shocking reversal, achieved through a purely personal transaction that just bulldozes the whole corporate disciplinary process. She says, I did. You're back at work on Monday.
Whoa. Just whoa.
Total shocker, right?
The chairman's need for dignity, his absolute insistence on firing John, all of it just got overridden by very specific, very crude, personal human desire.
Louise traded sex for her husband's job.
It's situational irony cranked up to 11. The most formal structure, the firing, is just made irrelevant by an overwhelming private priority, the chairman's lust.
Which actually connects perfectly to our last story, where personal priorities derail a crime.
Okay.
If private lust can cancel a firing, what happens when, say, domestic fear cancels out a felony? Let's go to the pawn shop robbery.
Right. This one starts like a serious crime thriller. Woman walks into a pawn shop, asks to see a pistol.
Loads it, tells the pawnbroker. Empty the register. Straightforward setup, high tension, life and death, money on the line.
It seems like it's all about survival, maybe getting away with the cash.
But then comes the pivot. She doesn't just grab the money and run. She says, I have an even greater urge.
And tells the pawnbroker to take his clothes off, initiate sex.
Yeah.
Right there.
The whole focus shifts, doesn't it? From the external threat, the robbery, to this sudden, overwhelming internal impulse, this desire.
And she gets so caught up in it, so consumed by the moment.
That she loses focus entirely and drops the gun.
Okay, so now the situation is even more complicated. An unarmed robbery in progress, which has turned into this, well, high-risk sexual situation.
Your first thought is, okay, the pawnbroker grabs the gun now, right?
Yeah.
Or runs, or tries to get the money back. The immediate threat is on the floor.
But his reaction is the ultimate situational irony here. His top priority isn't his life. It isn't the money. It's not even stopping the crime.
No. His reaction slams this absurd, dangerous situation right back into mundane, relatable domestic terror.
He yells at her not about the robbery, but about his marriage.
For God's sakes, lady, pick it back up. My wife is due any time now.
It's unbelievable. His immediate, most pressing fear is his wife walking in and catching him.
Mid-felony, mid-coerced sex act. Doesn't matter. The fear of having to explain that to his wife completely trumps the fear of the robber, the gun, the crime itself.
He's literally more scared of his wife than the armed robber who just held him up.
The formal structure of the law, the threat of violence just gets vaporized by this incredibly powerful personal domestic anxiety.
So these 4 stories, from the CEO getting punked by a pizza guy to the pawnbroker worried about his wife, they really work together, don't they?
They do. The common thread, the mechanism in all these reversals is always that shift in priority.
Yeah.
The stated goal, the formal objective, the external pressure. It always gets subverted by some internal, specific, often kind of crude human desire or fear.
Let's just quickly recap those motivations. For the CEO, it was performance, making a statement.
Right. For the chairman, it was lust overriding professional offense.
For the beer slogan winner, it was just telling the brutal truth about the taste.
And for the pawnbroker, sheer terror of marital conflict.
In every case, the story only really lands when the characters stop following the rules of the situation and instead follow their most inconvenient, most human impulse.
And maybe that tells us something important, that the biggest risk, the biggest variable in any formal situation, business, crime, whatever, isn't the official rulebook.
It's the unpredictable human element.
Exactly. The overwhelming power of what this specific person in that specific moment actually wants or fears most. Whether it's keeping the peace at home, getting laid, delivering a sick burn, or just showing off, that stuff often just steamrolls the official consequences.
So here's a final thought then for you listening. Think about how often in your own life, maybe dealing with work or bureaucracy or just tricky social things, how often you look for the logical solution, the by-the-book answer, but maybe the real path, the actual way to unlock the situation, lies in figuring out the illogical, deeply personal, maybe even inconvenient priority of the key person involved.
What's the thing they care about more than the official rules?
Right. What's that hidden human urge, the chairman's urge, the pawnbroker's fear that overrides everything else? If you can figure that out, maybe that's the real key.
Look for the human factor that breaks the rules.
That's a fascinating way to look at it. Thank you for sharing these. They were genuinely insightful, surprisingly so.
They really were.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.